Let's start off today with a little game called Which One of These Doesn't Belong with the Others? Remember this when we were kids? Here goes. Here's your four choices. Arrowhead Studios, Helldivers 2, Sony, and Tencent. All right, time's up. Now, if you picked any of those as not belonging, then you were wrong because we've got new reporting that Tencent has entered the scene with a massive investment to Arrowhead Studios. This could mean financial independence for the Swedish studio, but many skeptics are already shouting, can you say microtransactions? Yeah, there's a lot here, and if you find it intriguing, stick around. The easiest way to support content just like this is to hit subscribe, as it's free, and it really helps the channel get recognized in the YouTube algorithm, meaning it then gets sent to even more sets of eyes. Also, don't forget to ring the notifications bell and set those alerts to receive all, or you might miss an upload just like this. And with that concluded, let's get into the latest breaking news for Helldivers. The news actually broke yesterday via BreakIt, a Swedish publication, and the story has since caught fire today, ripping through gaming media site after site. And here's what BreakIt had to say. Swedish Arrowhead is behind the successful game Helldivers and made a profit of 729 million kroner last year after its latest launch. In addition, Chinese Tencent has bought just over 15% of the shares at a valuation of just over 5 billion. Quote, getting access to the Chinese player base is the holy grail in the gaming industry, co-founder 𝗙𝗻𝗋𝗄𝗏 tells DI. It's important to understand the dollar conversions here, and the numbers are staggering. Now, according to N4G, who took this BreakIt article and then translated it, so full disclosure, there could be some mistranslations here. 730 million Swedish krona equals roughly 80 million US dollars, while Arrowhead itself was apparently valued at 5.1 billion Swedish krona. And here comes the really big number. That amounts to approximately 532 million USD. At this point, we all kind of know the story of Arrowhead Studios. Small indie studio with several smaller successful launches under its belt with Magicka and Helldivers 1, stumbles into overnight market mega hit with Helldivers 2, breaking sales records and quickly becoming Sony's fastest selling game of all time. But what is not commonly known is Arrowhead itself, which in the grand scheme of game development studios is, well, how do you put it? It's small. While in Stockholm this past February, I personally toured the Arrowhead facility, which comprises of the top floor of an office building. And when I say that you could run and touch all four corners of the interior of the studio in under a minute, I'm not exaggerating. Now, to hear that evaluation of the studio's value, and it's sitting at over $500 million, really puts into perspective just how much of a success Helldivers 2 truly was. Continuing on deeper into this article, they say Chinese Tencent is buying into yet another Swedish game developer. This time it's Arrowhead, which last year launched the sequel to its hit game Helldivers, DI reports. Tencent is, among other things, the third largest owner of Paradox and swallowed up the entire Malmo-based Shark Mob in 2019. The Chinese giant is also a co-owner of the 𝗙𝗿𝗙𝗀 company, Stunlock Studios, 10 Chambers, and Fat Shark. And by the way, I wanted to apologize to all my Swedish viewers out there, as I'm probably butchering all these pronunciations, but hearing just how much of these Swedish studios Tencent either owns or has stake in, you tend to forget just how big Tencent truly is in a worldwide scheme of gaming development. They own 50% of the Chinese gaming market, which, by the way, is going to enter a little later in this discussion. Tencent also owns studios like Riot Games, Supercell, ever heard of Clash Royale or Clash of Clans? That's Supercell. How about Temmie, which is Heart of Kings and COD Mobile? They own them as well, while also having minority stock in companies and publishers like Epic Games, Ubisoft, that one is recent and rather messy, and they also have minority stock in Activision Blizzard. Point is, they are everywhere, they are involved in everything gaming, and they are exceptionally well funded. Which brings us to the total bill. And jumping back to this BreakIt article, it says Tencent bought 15.75% of the shares in July last year. So this is 2024, we're just hearing about it now, and a deal that valued the entire Arrowhead at 𝗙𝗂𝘂𝗍, that's Swedish krona, at 5.1 billion, according to DI. The remaining shares in the company are owned by these, I guess, original founders, Johan, Malin, Emil, Anton, and Peter Lindgren. According to the latest annual report, which DI has reviewed, Arrowhead had a turnover of Swedish krona 959 million in 2024. Operating profits came in to Swedish krona 729 million. Let's go ahead and finish up this BreakIt article with a quote. It's fantastic fun, and I feel incredibly proud of what the team has managed to achieve. Above all, it's proof that what we do resonates with the player base, says Johan Pilstedt, creative director to DI. The work on Helldivers 2 was financed by PlayStation, which is Arrowhead's publisher. That has been a prerequisite for success, he tells DI. It was primarily the network of contacts that attracted people when Arrowhead let Tencent in as the new owner. Listen to this quote. It also opens up opportunities for China as a market. Gaining access to the Chinese player base is the holy grail in the gaming industry, says Johan Pilstedt, again to DI. There's certainly the positive spin put onto the news of the stock acquisition, again being made by Johan. But on the flip side, there's also the concerns being aired by players who have had previous terrible experiences with Tencent and their practices. For instance, and I'm quoting here from the N4G article, one player, 𝗪𝗿𝗍𝗄, noted, quote, "Can't say I'm enthused by the news. Tencent acquired a 15.75% stake. I used to play PUBG Mobile for a bit, and holy S, the monetization was horrendous." Another player, Parezo, added, quote, "Looking at Tencent's track record of their involvement, it most likely means scummy monetization and slow decline. This raises the question of how involved Tencent actually is." Which, to be totally fair, is the question on many players' minds. How much control does Tencent obtain for that $80 million? And no details have been provided there, although through the power of the Google searches, I did find there is a vice general manager from Tencent who has joined the board of directors for Arrowhead as of September 2024 by the name of Jon Shen, which you can see here, sourced from the Swedish company's registration office. And by the way, full credit to Timur222 for posting this to Twitter back in April of this year, although at the time, this report completely flew under everyone's radar. I'm going to go full stop on the article for right now, and this is just me throwing some dates out there to refresh everyone's memories. But first, you've got the Sony PSN PC review bomb disaster that kicked off in early May 2024. Johan Pilstedt, the longtime CEO of Arrowhead Studios, announces that he is stepping down from that role in late May 2024 to assume the role of Chief Creative Officer. The Tencent 16% acquisition in Arrowhead takes place in July 2024, and 2 months after that, in September 2024, Jon Shen joins the board of directors at Arrowhead. Now, as of yet, we don't have a public statement from Johan or any of the other members of the board, other than what was said in this interview with BreakIt. And this is just me theorizing here, but there has to have been some friction and or fatigue after that player revolt, review bomb, and Johan's comments at the time while the disastrous PSN PC requirement debacle was taking place. Despite the positive comments Arrowhead has said in the past, both from Johan and the current CEO Shams Jorjani about their amiable partnership with Sony, there seems to be this internal push and this need to break free, and Tencent and their $80 million investment, along with Helldivers 2 game success, may have just granted Arrowhead their dream to completely self-fund their next title. I think at this point, though, the question is, will it be? What is Tencent expecting for that investment, and will their influence begin to permeate into Helldivers 2? Now, as of late, between the Heart of Democracy update and now 2 back-to-back war bonds, Arrowhead is riding the high wave of success. But the accounts of Tencent and what they have been capable of doing in the past is certainly a point of concern. This is an area of gaming that we already have known results. We've seen just how far Tencent is capable of pushing the microtransaction envelope, but on the flip side, this investment was made almost a year ago, and despite over $80 million and a Tencent member on the board of directors for Arrowhead, we haven't really seen anything definitive that you could point to and say, aha, there's the Tencent influence. This is an interesting topic for sure, and one that we need to watch with both eyes open, especially now that the information has been made public. Me just speaking honestly here, I've always loved the fact that Helldivers and Arrowhead were largely free of the AAA gaming BS slop pitfalls, constantly staggering from massive success to the pits of despair, but they did that staggering on their own 2 feet and free of outside influence. Arrowhead and Helldivers is the quintessential Cinderella story of gaming, and knowing now that there's an outside influence in the house to the tune of $80 million invested, also with a foot in the door there, I worry about Arrowhead and their ability to maintain that fierce independence they so proudly display. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to stay up to date on my latest uploads. A massive thanks goes out to all my channel members. Without your support, content creation like this would not be possible. And until the next one, this is Lieutenant 𝗏𝗁𝗍𝗓 signing off.